those earning over 10K per month, what do you do for a living to achieve that income? Story 1. I make over 10K a month for 9 months out of the year. My wife and I own an exterior cleaning company. We do window cleaning, gutter cleaning, and pressure washing. In November, we make over 20K. Story 2. Emergency medicine PA. I do a lot of suturing and pull a lot of things out of people's, but it's because everyone slipped while naked getting out of the shower. Story 3. Project manager. When I work 40 hours a week or less, it's worth it. When I'm working 70, I want to jump off a bridge. The work is not fulfilling, but I'm glad to pay the bills. Story 4. 14,000 month. Retired. Pension 1 AV. Pension 2. Teacher. Pension 3. Social Security. Edit 1 in retirement. I also help out an undertaker friend with deceased removals, funerals, etc. I'm very active in the community. Every dime of what I make there goes to charity. Edit 2. Thank you to the 95 of kind responders. The other 5 of haters don't know me as a person with their snarky comments, and B, don't realize, nor perhaps should they, that I give away over half of what I earn in retirement each month to charity, tuition for poor kids, or others in need. I didn't come for money, but through hard work, luck, and perseverance, I made something of myself. When I was young and struggling, I vowed that if I ever had the means, I'd help at least one youngster succeed in life who had nothing. I did that in spades, and now it gives me purpose in life to help others less fortunate. Story 5. I take 35 to 50-year-old Korean women on dates to provide companionship. 99 of them are extremely wealthy and usually divorced. Also get some expensive gifts as extra perks. No, I do not sleep with them. Story 6. Massage therapist. 250,000 per client. 3 every Monday through Friday, off weekends, not including tips BTW. Learn how to market yourself well, and it flows smoothly. Love it so much. Only work for 3 hours, and I'm done for the day. You have to have charisma and a decent look, by the way. Ex-nurse here. Really wish I would have went the route for LMT sooner. Never looked back at nursing since then. The best part is the connections you make. Your clients will consist of possible doctors, lawyers, PR agents, etc. Good word goes around for you, and you made it. Yes, your hands will be tired, but it's worth it. That's probably the major con. At least for me. Go where the money is. I live 10 minutes away from Woodlands, Texas, where the clients pay the big bucks, they want bat an eye, and hand it like pocket change. Story 7. Film industry. Camera department, no life. While working, then hustling to get the next job between gigs. You have no clue when the next gig will come, so you have to budget like you might not work again a year. 310 don't recommend. Story 8. 242K annual base salary, 20 KMO. General counsel and industrial manufacturing and construction company. That means I'm a lawyer and head of the legal department for a fairly big company. I've been a lawyer for almost 9 years and done multiple kinds of law. That has allowed me to skip a few steps, but I'm also good at what I do and work my off. The only lawyers I know that are happy are in-house lawyers like me and some prosecutors, but they get paid, but not everyone gets lucky enough to go in-house. If you're thinking about law, I would highly recommend that you reconsider. Do medicine, software, cybersecurity, or if you're a hot, be a sugar baby. I guess JK. Don't do that, but anything but law. For those who might ask, why not law? It starts with school. Everyone at law school was the smartest kid in every one of their classes from elementary school through college. Everyone. Then you go from that to being maybe middle of the pack, a nobody, and it's super cutthroat to get even there. But you learn to think like a lawyer. Be a super obnoxious and hypercritical overthinker. Then you get to a law firm or a government job or whatever, and it turns out law school taught you very little, if anything, about being a lawyer. But you're expected to know or learn the rules and start billing time or charging people with crimes or protecting kids from abusive parents or some other super heavy thing at 25 years old. Don't get me wrong, I take a tremendous amount of pride in it. But imagine, if you will, keeping track of everything you do in 6-minute increments to get to 150 hours worth of billable hours of work a month. You can never get ahead. At very best, you're caught up until the first of the month when you are 150 hours behind again. It takes you 200 hours of actual work to get to 150 or 160 of billable time. This is not an exaggeration in any sense. Imagine also being the only thing between your client and 10 years in prison, or losing their home, or losing their business or kids. In my situation, I am constantly on the lookout for problems and watching for things that may become problems for my entire company. The mental burden is a lot. I'm a borderline alcoholic and am only now learning to take care of myself again. It's been a long road, and I'm on the right side of it now. But there were times when I could have easily not made it to tomorrow. If you catch my drift. Story 9, I work 2 jobs cybersecurity for one company, full-time 9K, and game developer contractor with another 5K to 10K. The contractor job is based on completed work, so pay fluctuates on how much time I could dedicate to it. Story 10, I close rental contracts for super fancy portable shitters. Work from home. The only downside is dealing with mostly men who believe that by right of birth they know more about the power requirements for the equipment than I do. Story 11, oil gas. You don't have to work your way up the ladder at all to do 10K a month. Most green no experience hands do 7 to 11K a month after taxes, depending on their schedule. Story 12, travel nurse. I travel across multiple states working 13-week contracts in ERs that are short-staffed. I work 3 days a week and try to take a month off after every contract. Story 13, financial advisor, specializing in retirement planning. Has its ups and downs, but a lot of my job is helping people realize their dream retirements, so it's very rewarding. Story 14, work on the same place for 20 years, starting at age 20 and slowly climbing my way from the guy emptying the truck shipping department to senior leadership. I got 2 degrees along the way, but honestly, sticking with the job for a long while, treating people with honesty and respect, building relationships, and just generally never being in a hole to anyone did more for my career than my 2 degrees. Story 15, not me. I'm retired, but I have 2 kids who each earn over $100,000 per MO. One is an attorney who bills out at $16.50 an hour, and the other is a VP with a major software company. Story 16, data engineer, switched careers 7 years ago. Learned Python, SQL, VBA, and dabbled in other languages. Learned Databricks, Azure AWS, and others. Also, Power BI, Click SSRS. Started as a data analyst and switched jobs every 1 to 2 years. Now $100 an hour, so basically worked my off. Story 17, engineer. Started in manufacturing as a line engineer and now a training manager in manufacturing. My 5-year working anniversary will be next week. 2 div companies gross pay, but I expect net to be that in 2 to 3 years. Story 18, the post immediately above this one on my Reddit front page, is about a doctor earning $660K per year, 3 years out of education. The comments suggest he's doing a lot of shifts, but it's entirely possible. Story 1938, CEO of a family violence organization. I studied law and specialized in trauma and working with victims as well as systemic reform. It's hard but rewarding. Story 20, I'm retired, but it took a lot to get here, shoving as much money into 401K as possible. Deceased husband pension, didn't plan on husband dying, and Social Security payments. It took huge amounts of sacrifice and long-term planning, going without in the early years of our relationship. But now I can do whatever I want, from paying for vacations with my kids and sending my grandson to soccer camp without worrying about how much it costs. It still hurts that I can't go on the world trips my husband and I plan on going to, but I get to take my family and to see the look on my kids and grandson faces when they get to experience something they've never seen before is just so amazing and wonderful. My heart is bursting with joy. Story 21, train conductor in Norway. Rather well paid, but a somewhat bad rotation. You can work early morning one day, midday the next, and night the one after that again, but I enjoy it a lot. Wouldn't do anything else except win the lottery. Story 22, doctor. In the past, it used to be a very high-paying job. These days, it's not so much. I still make a good living, but in low COL areas, family docs make $100K and specialists make $250K. A partner of mine made $150K in the 70s when he started. He was still making $150K in 2010. Story 23, my wife pulls about this much, and she's a registered nurse. She was an LVN for close to a decade, which is about half that salary, and just recently, she passed the test to become RN. Story 24, civil engineer and planner. I have 15 years in the field. I have master's degrees in both community development and planning, bachelor's in engineering with a minor in GIS. I could make significantly more if I went private sector. However, I work to provide infrastructure to underserved communities and wouldn't leave this job for anything right now. I'm also a part-time firefighter, so I guess that would count towards my income as well. But it's not much, a couple $100s in a busy month. It's not really a job someone does for the money. I get to drive fire trucks fast with sirens, and that's all the pay I need. Story 25, I own multiple companies, all home industry related, property maintenance for other out-of-state landlords, local handyman, KB remodeling, whole house rehab resale. We do not flip. And my Airbnb Verbo properties, I really only achieved this status due to my wife dying in 2020. She was an EMT with 2 high-dollar life insurance policies, one personal, the other through her work. I poured all that money and energy into my company so that I can avoid feeling. Altogether, the companies make between $200 and $250 a month, depending on season and demand. I keep 10 as my knocking around money, Everything else is wrapped up in business expenses. I pay everyone quite well by their own standards. I spend about 15 hours each month looking at the books, and that's it. My people run everything, and as long as they do, I'm happy sharing the profits with them, especially since they are considered business expenses. Story 26, shared living provider for 2 adults with developmental disability, and I run a painting company during business days while they are at day services. Net $23,000 per month or more. Story 27, software engineer, closer to 20 a month in the Midwest. Have a cousin who's a civil engineer and partner now, like 12 ownership of a 15 Meyer company, and he makes around 300 a year. Story 28, I make data visualizations in D3, Angular, CSS, TypeScript for a large financial institution. I started my career in tech as a game master making $15.35 an hour at Sony Online Entertainment in 2012. If you want to be a developer, just start coding, build your portfolio, and you'll be successful. It's like going to the gym. If you put in the effort and time, your body will change at the gym. If you put in the effort and time into coding, you'll make more money and have a career. Story 29, I'm a doctor. My job is 7 days straight, 12 hours per day, with every other week off. Holidays are only off if on my off week. It's actually pretty sweet. That said, in order to get it, you need to complete lots of stuff, including residency. Residency for but also for many, if not most, is 3 years of 6-day work weeks. Over 100 hours each, including 24-hour shifts every 4th day or so, and night shifts. No holidays. It was like that pretty much every week, except the mandatory 4 weeks of vacation a year. So 48 weeks of 100-hour weeks. You had to pick your vacation 1 year prior to getting the time off. So don't have any emergencies or major life changes occur without at least a year of planning. And during this time, I got paid around 60 to 70K a year, which is on the high end of resident salaries. No bonus, no retirement. That job sucked really bad. Story 30, I'm a clinical pharmacist in a hospital, but I sit basically just above that threshold. 9 months out of school, no residency. This is pre-tax, of course. Take home about $6,700 a month on average. More if I work the holiday, which since I'm bottom of the seniority list here, is basically every one of them LMAO, but I don't mind. Story 31, I run a shop. We build vintage vehicles, 30 Esto 40s era. This is what eBay found in owning a few businesses over the past 12 years. It's important to surround yourself with successful people. They don't have to be like-minded. It's even better to not have like-minded people around. They give you different perspectives. An older, more wiser mentor will save you a lot of headaches. When you stop learning, you start dying. Stay humble. Story 32, I'm a supply chain consultant. I get paid 2x what I made as a corporate middle manager to tell executives that what their middle managers were trying to tell them is correct. Story 33, BS, MS, PhD, DSC, geologic and physical geochemical consultant for the oil patch. US 450 hour, wild well control, varies by job, up to 7 figures. Abandoned mine rescue recovery and mine closing, varies by job, but usually 5 to 6 figures. Story 34, HVAC tech support and trainer. I basically read through the troubleshooting section of manuals because contractors don't want to read. I also teach classes that tells people to read the troubleshooting section of manuals. Story 35, marketing science. Media. I have some tips for sure. 1. Change jobs every 2 years or less. You should be talking about promotions and performance reviews annually. 2. Pay attention to the person who has the job you want. Offer to do tasks that they do without being asked, and then do them well. Doing their job is how you get their job. 3. Talk in meetings. If you're in a meeting, you should be talking. You are there for a reason. Questions count as talking for. When something is bad, do not complain, propose, or recommend a better way. 1 is probably the most important. Part of me thinks 3 is most important, but part of me thinks I talk too much, so I downgraded it. Background, white, bachelor's degree, 31 years old, VHCOL area. Story 36, cybersecurity consultant working for an IT consulting firm. I'm a self-taught 80s hacker kid with no certification of any sort in actual schooling or specialization. Depending on the year, it ranges between $600K to $900K. I also designed the entire cybersecurity practice for this firm. Story 37, I monitor data center infrastructure for proper operation. I stare into a computer and make sure the electricity is on, the water is flowing, and the air is moving. If any of it stops, I get a text message from the building, then I call someone to come fix it. Story 38, we opened a niche restaurant, and post-COVID, we are the only competitors remaining for now. The barrier to entry is a bit higher, and there are definitely folks with money to start another operation, but the risks and work to get things to a successful level is high. We're clearing more than $10K a month with just 1 location. Currently, we have 2 that are making similar revenue. We are opening 3 more smaller ones around the city this year, and grand opening is right around the corner before summer. Story 39, Civil Engineering Project Manager. I manage a team that designs land development and infrastructure projects. I tell people it's not the building, but everything around the building: roads, parking lots, utilities, ponds, etc. Story 40, I'm a financial analyst. I started in accounting and have my CPA. I am still accounting adjacent, but more focus on data analysis, automation, and forecasting. Story 41, in 2023, I earned $545K. Should be a bit higher in 2024, but I won't know exactly until I put together all my tax paperwork. That's about $45K per month before taxes. I've been in software engineering for 15 years, 10 years as a developer, climbing from entry level to staff, and then 5 years as an engineering manager. I started at $90K in my first job, and through a mix of job hopping, promotions, and stock appreciation, I've worked my way up. At this point, I've really plateaued until I get another promotion to senior management. The income is split: $230K cash, $300K stock, $15K in dividend from my other investments. Story 42, electrical engineer, barely earning over $10K per month. Work at a semiconductor company as an equipment engineer. It's hard, stressful work, and mistakes can cost millions of dollars, but you're on a tight timer to solve them, like very tight timer. There's a lot of pressure to meet KPI and expectations without all the resources necessary for it. Long work weeks are the norm with unpaid overtime, since it's a salary position, plus a lot of safety hazards and other major issues which I won't get to, because it makes it obvious where I work at for those in the industry. Only have 2 years of experience, but have worked at 2 of the biggest semiconductor companies there are. The first one was great, but this current one is just making me want to switch jobs, even if I take a pay cut. Was way happier earning a bit less in my previous job. Story 43, I work for my sister as her assistant. Part-time, she makes right around $10K as a remote loan processor. Doing the paperwork on refi loans and new home purchases, she contracts for 2 brokers and does side work for a few others. We usually process about 30 loans monthly. Story 44, this was my first year breaking that number. I'm a union chemical reactor operator for a company that specializes in rare metals. It's usually a physically easy job, but there's a lot of health and safety risks, involved explosions, chemical exposure, both acute and chronic, heavy industrial equipment, and more. Edit O and nasty hours schedule with lots of overtime. Can't forget that.